Welcome to the Hook and Reel Kayak Fishing Show, brought to you by Classic City Kayak Anglers and Coyote Outfitters in Watkinsville, Georgia, with your hosts, Freddie Garza and David Smith.
Welcome back to the Hook and Reel Kayak Fishing Show, your home for all things kayak fishing in the state of Georgia. Today, as usual, we're going to talk to you about Georgia High School Kayak Fishing Association, Georgia Bass Nation Kayak Series, and the tournament scene throughout the state of Georgia this past week. Also tonight we have a very special interview that I'm sure you guys are going to really enjoy with Mr. Steve Owens with Tennessee Valley Kayak Anglers and Jamie Kosa with the Dugout Bait and Tackle. Great interview. You're not going to want to miss this one. So with that, Freddie, start us off with Georgia High School Kayak Fishing.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about our upcoming event next month, the state championship that we'll be hosting in conjunction with Southeastern Youth Kayak Anglers. We're super excited about the event. Couple of things I want to clarify with that is that Georgia High School Kayak Fishing Association, our event is Saturday, but you are eligible to fish both days. So we'll be fishing with Southeastern Kayak Anglers as well. So they're going to be out there on the same waters. It's a free event, so technically you are entered. If you enter into the state championship, you are entered into their event as well. So it's going to be exciting. They've got a lot of good prizes, and they'd love for you to stick around. Their event is a 2-day. So fish with us on Saturday, and all of those fish will actually count towards their finale as well. It's just their finale will be finishing up on Sunday. So there will be another opportunity to fish Sunday at the same location. So plan on that if you want to participate in that, and I strongly encourage that. They've got a lot of great prizes that they're wanting to give away, and a lot of good opportunity there to capture some good prizes. So plan on that. All the information I'll start posting up on our Facebook page just to give some more detail on the southeastern side of things. So keep an eye out for that as we get closer to the event. We do have a post out right now, so please read up on that. It does have detail for our state championship event on Saturday. So registration is now open. And all the registration details are on the last post, and we'll continue to post and bring updates as we get closer to the event as well. So, want to hit on Georgia Bass Nation real quick. Again, our state championship event is going to be on Lake Sinclair, October the 24th. Registration is open for that now, so get those registrations in. If you need to find a club or jump on a roster, all the rosters are currently still open. So reach out to one of the tournament directors and get on their roster, get those state dues paid, and get registered up. It's going to be a great event. Speaking of Mr. Jamie Kosa, he's come on board with Georgia Bass Nation as the title sponsor, and he's given a lot of great prizes for this first event. So look forward to that, as well as his sponsorship moving into the trail season next year. So. Other than that, that's it. Well, let's go over a couple of we had a few events here in the last actually it was on the 19th. So, the 19th was a very busy day for the state of Georgia. But we're going to start off with Peach State Kayak Anglers, who were there hosting their annual King of the Rock. First place honors went to Jason Barnes. Second place was Brian Butler. Third place, which is a very familiar name to us at the Georgia High School Kayak Fishing Association, that's Cale Henderson taking third place honors, actually squeaking out his dad, Clint Henderson. So the student has now become the instructor. I like that. And I'm sure Clint's happy for him as well. So Clint Henderson taking fourth place. And rounding out the top five is Stephen Otting with top five. Big Bass honors went to Jason Alford. And we do want to make a special announcement for that one. That ended their season. So they announced their Angler of the Year, and we're happy because we know this gentleman for quite a bit now, and very happy for him. Mr. Charles Shelnut winning Angler of the Year honors for Peach State. I know he's worked very hard and is well deserving that Angler of the Year. That guy fishes everything. Moving on to the next event, we had East Central Georgia Kayak Anglers on Lake Russell. Taking first place honors there was Abraham Vang with 77 inches. Second place was Christian Hanna with 75 and a quarter inch. Third place was Randy Zong with 73 inches. Fourth place was Joshua Deal with 71 inches. And it looks like we had a tie, but Josh got the tiebreaker on this one. 5th place honors going to Johnny Bryant with 71 inches as well. Big Bass honors went to Abraham Vang with 21 1/4 inch. So congratulations, guys. That finished out the year for East Central as well. They've got all of their information posted of everybody who qualified for the state championship. So that'll be the next big event for Georgia, and we look forward to putting out those results after that event is over as well. Rounding out the day for the 19th, we had KBF on Lake Lanier. First place honors went to Corey Dreyer with 86 3/4 inch. Second place was Josh Bowles, 85 1/2 inches. Third place was Charles Miser with 85 1/4 inch. Fourth place was Jody Queen with 82 1/4 inch. Fifth place was Travis Dawkins with 79 1/4 inch. Congratulations, gentlemen. I think they had a field of about 48 or so anglers out there, so I know that was a tough one. Lake Lanier is always an interesting event. So those were the top 5 for that event. And moving on, this weekend we have Georgia Kayak Fishing League and Classic City Kayak Anglers with their finale out on the Flint River with Lake Juliet as a flat water option. If these rains that they're predicting come in the next couple of days, we'll switch over to Lake Juliet. So that's going to be this Saturday. Look forward to those results in the upcoming episodes. So other than that, that's what we had, Dave.
Good deal. All right, with that, guys, we're going to switch over to our interview portion of the show, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. If you don't know Jamie Koza with Dugout Bait and Tackle, it's a good opportunity for you to get to know Jamie. And, of course, most everybody already knows Steve. So this is a great interview with Steve Owens and Jamie Koza. So look forward to hearing you guys' responses back on this, because I think there's some thought-provoking things that we talk about. So sit back and enjoy, and we'll see you guys after the interview.
Guys, welcome to our Hook and Reel Kayak Fishing Show interview. Tonight we have as our special guest Mr. Steve Owens with Tennessee Valley Kayak Anglers and Mr. Jamie Koza with Dugout Bait and Tackle. Appreciate you guys being here with us tonight. We look forward to tons of information you guys are going to supply us with, and we're excited about some new things that we've heard about that's coming out with some new tournaments and stuff. So we're looking forward to hearing about that. Steve, if you would start us off, give us a little bit of background on Steve Owens. Tell us about yourself, and Jamie, if you would fill in, do the same thing for us when Steve gets done. So, Steve, if you would take off and tell us about Steve.
Hey, man, thank you. I appreciate you and Freddie giving us a platform to talk about what we're doing. As you said, I'm Steve Owens with Tennessee Valley Kayak Anglers on Lake Chickamauga in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Friend of mine, Ryan Lambert, and a couple other guys started, a grassroots trail here on Lake Chickamauga, and started fishing it part of the way into year one. And at the end of the season, the director got surprised with a set of twins as he was sending his oldest to college. The next week, he found out he's having twins, so he wasn't going to have time to finish the carrying things on. So I took over, and with the help of everybody in the club, figuring out how to do it, ran it for the last 4 or 5 years. And that kind of just spun into directing the KBF events on Chickamauga and Guntersville, and then spun over to getting invited to help out with Dwayne Wally and Turney X and setting up the Bassmaster Bass Nation Kayak Series nationwide, and got to direct the Classic event and the Chickamauga event coming up November the 21st. And we're putting together the Tennessee Bass Nation Series, which will let local state anglers fish tournaments to make it to the Classic Championship every year as well, if you can't fish the Big Open Series. And I'd say, I can't remember if it was November-ish or maybe even January, I got introduced to Jamie and folks down at Dugout, and just sound cheesy, but fell in love with them and just enjoyed what we got going, and just got started, promoting Hobie and the products that he sells, and it's just turned into a real fun thing. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting, Steve. I remember that time frame, and kind of hearing the dugout. I probably heard a little bit about them prior to, but that was more from the high school side of things. But to be knowing that he was jumping into the kayak scene was pretty exciting back at that time. So, man, I'm glad you guys are doing what you're doing, and we're excited to hear more about that here in a few. But Jamie, I don't mean to cut you off, Steve, but if we can, Jamie, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know bits and pieces about you. Obviously, you and I have talked, and we're excited to have you on Georgia Bass Nation as our title sponsor. And I think all the anglers should be excited as well. But I'd like to give you a little bit of opportunity to tell us about who you are and how involved you are in the fishing community as a whole.
Thanks, Freddie. I guess to kind of start, it would be, I fished my whole life. I mean, I started with my grandfather, cane pole, Zepco 33 deal, and just fishing ponds, and started tournament fishing when I was probably 10 or 11 with a cousin that was older than me. We fished for years and years together, and got into the tackle industry from when I was in high school. Actually, probably when I was in ninth grade in high school. Got the tackle industry. Went to school after I graduated from high school. Went to college for a little while. Come back home. Went back to work for him, and ended up buying him out and growing the business to all kinds of different avenues and stuff like that, as far as tackle distribution, live bait distribution, tackle retail. And it's kind of make a long story short, it's kind of led I've been doing it for since I was 14, and I'm 48 now. So been fortunate enough to be around long enough in the tackle industry, and still, by the grace of God, still doing good. So, right. I got involved with the Hobie thing. It kind of started a year or so ago, and kicked it around, and with AJ's help and Steve O and everybody else, we've been pretty successful in 10 months. So, I do have, let me say this too, I got, both my kids, my daughter, she's in college now. She goes to Carson Newman. She's pretty active on their fishing team. She fishes probably a lot more than I do. My son, he fishes, through high school. He's been very successful in high school. So he's through Bass Nation, Bassmaster, and FLW. So it's kind of where we're at.
Well, good deal. Well, now, I know you've been involved with the high school side of Bass Nation for some years now. Tell us a little bit more about the glass boat side and what you've experienced with your involvement with them.
The glass boat side, I think, is probably going to be the future of bass fishing as far as tournament fishing, competitive fishing. Up until then, when there really wasn't, it was kind of a dead end road. Once the old guys died out, there wasn't, as they get older and start doing different things, and there's not really a way for us to continue the industry on if we don't have high school bass fishing. And I think what we're going to see in the next few years, I mean, obviously Jordan Lee's a product of it, through college. And when, you got your guys that are in high school that do well and they go on to fishing college, those guys are, they're going to be your new elite guys. I mean, it's hard those guys are good, really, really good. I mean, there's some high school anglers out there right now that, they get to fish all the time.
Right.
And they have a way to compete. And, up until a few years ago, there wasn't a way for that to happen.
Right.
So, it's opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people in the industry. Like it or not, social media's done it too, to get those guys, a platform to work off of. I think you're probably, in the next few years, you're going to see more and more involvement with kids that, their mom and dad don't fish. On our fishing team now, at Mount Perrin Christian School, there's probably half a team their dad has never fished before in their life, or their mother, and but they enjoy fishing. So that gives them an opportunity, being on a fishing team, to go fish. And who knows? I mean, you never know what you might.
Right.
What might
No, it's been pretty interesting, kind of diving down into the history of any high school programs from numerous states. I'm also, being from Texas and kind of seeing that growth there. Texas, I think, started a little later than Georgia, but you see a huge amount and a huge wave of new schools entering the high school ranks of bass fishing, which is phenomenal. But to see what Georgia's put together on both the FLW and the Bass Nations or the Bassmaster side has been, phenomenal. I mean, to hear some of the numbers of boats that they're getting on any given weekend is just, I mean, it's crazy. But, all good in the same time. Like you said, Jamie, that's definitely our future and, something that I think is going to be great. And, that's where I see, a lot of advantage to having you enter the kayak scene with us here in Georgia is, having that type of background and seeing these new programs kind of get started, get off the ground and be successful, because here it is, we have an opportunity with Bass Nation on the kayak side of things. And again, everything's very new, but, I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. So, I'd like to hear from each of you, your thoughts on bass entering our kayak community and kind of where you guys see the growth of that leading to in the next couple of years.
Go ahead, Steve-O. You can go first.
Sorry about that, Steve.
No, it's okay. Obviously, I was excited that they were coming on, and what was really good in the beginning was, John Stewart, the president of Bass Nation, right out of the gate, he said, we know how to put on tournaments and we're really good at it. But we're new to kayaking. So, everything that we have came to them with, as long as we come with it and put the understanding behind it where they can relate to it, they've done it. They've been eager to do it. A lot of it's Greek to them, obviously, like a lot of new things are. And there's still a lot of room for improvement. And every conversation that we have about that, they're willing to do what we need, within, bounds of reality to progress it going forward. Obviously we've had some other national series with KBF and Hobie that have been around for a while that are doing a phenomenal job in a lot of areas. We'll elevate to that. We already have the name, obviously, some respected people helping run it. The anglers have showed up with really, really good numbers and support. They're doing the same on the state level as we're developing that as well. But for me, not growing up fishing, I grew up pan fishing on Nickajack with my dad, my grandparents, and my aunts and uncles. Loved it, catch a bass every now and then on accident, and then, got into pursuing them on purpose. And somehow in my mind, 5 bites and 1 fish became as good as catching 30 crappie. I don't know how that happened, but getting to be at the Classic and watching what it meant to everyone else, that's when it really clicked for me. Was then, like for me, if I could have been a shortstop for the Yankees or something, that moment at Bassmaster, watching like Russ Snyder's and them on stage, that's when it clicked for me how important it is to do this the right way. Because just because it's Bass or any other entity doesn't mean it's going to be successful. You can't just throw it out there and it grow on its own. You're going to have to put in the time cultivating it. You're going to have to entrust other people to come and water while you can't do certain things, or maybe something that you're not capable of. But so far the support's been really good. A lot of positive going forward. Anything that we think that they may need to tweak to come up to, what we think, as a community, the standard should be, I think they're willing to do, and we'll get it done. And it's been amazing for me.
Right. No, it has. It's been some highs and lows, definitely getting it started. I think it was, kind of thrown out there a little late to get things, truly organized. But, I don't think that's, I definitely don't fault anybody in that. It's something that it's like, hey, let's see what we can get started, because we want to get this thing started. And, it's been amazing to see the support of Bass and like you said, Steve, everything that they're so open and willing to do with us. And I think, there's some challenges that we'll still continue to face, and just getting to know, the organization and how we can best fit in it and make it the best for everybody. But, we'll definitely get past there. And I think there's a lot of hardworking tournament directors throughout the different, the multiple states that are getting organized now that are the right people to get those things going. And, it's just one of those opportunities that I see for the end result, being the angler and what they are provided for every opportunity or every event that Bass or Hobie or anybody puts out. It's what effort went into that event to make it the best that it possibly can. And, I'm excited to be a part of the Bass Nation for Georgia. Obviously excited to start new relationships, such as one that we're about to go into with the dugout bait and tackle. And, it's those relationships that really help build and create, an event that I think, we're going to hopefully have a lot of people wanting to participate in. So, well, Jamie, I'm curious, again, with your background in Bass Nation, what was it that sparked your interest in kind of getting into the kayak world? Or, what was it that finally said, made you sit down and say, I need to get involved, or I want to be a part of?
Well, I guess, the love for the tackle industry. I mean, guys that know me really well, they know I'm a tackle junkie. I mean, at the end of the day, I love nice fishing tackle. I mean, and I would say that, and catching bass would be would kind of be the ground floor of it. And I mean, the kayak bass fishing, I mean, I've kayak fished my whole life. Never really thought about it competitively, up until I guess I met, AJ and Steve and, several other guys. We have a lot of guys come in the store that, that kayak fish, and, you listen to stories, and, I'm a river rat at heart, so I like to river fish, and, whether it be in a kayak, a jet boat, or a bass boat, it's all the same to me. But I guess the new, it being new kind of, sparked my interest as far as, being able to, with the kayak industry growing like it is. I mean, we all know for the last 4 or 5 years, anybody that's been in the tackle industry that pays attention to what's going on, I mean, it's just doubled and doubled and doubled every year. And I think there's a lot of manufacturers out there that are still late to the game. I'd say most of them are, in all honesty, as far as tackle manufacturers. I would say they're late to the game. There's a few manufacturers out there like St. Croix that they've kind of stepped up and, got into the kayak side, started, sponsoring some people and actually, paying them. And I think you're going to see more of that in the next few years, hopefully with, as long as we have a platform. And I think that's where Bass comes in, honestly.
Right.
I think you have to have that obviously anybody that knows anything about bass tournament fishing, Bassmaster is the first word that comes to them. And,
right.
And being with Bass Nation, having leading to Bass, I think you're going to, really speed up the growth of it in a good way, if that makes sense. I think that you've got to have good tournament directors. You've got to have the right people behind you, and with everybody wanting the same cause. We all have to have the same love, whether it's, whatever it is and anything you do. If you love what you do, it makes it a lot easier. At the end of the day, you don't hate going to work every day. So, and I've been fortunate enough to, even though I've been in the business for 35 years, there's not a day that goes by that I hadn't, I've wanted to go to work. So, I get up, 4 o'clock in the morning and work till it's done, every day. So I love going to work, and I love the fishing tackle industry and most of the people that are in it.
Well, good deal. Well, now, and that's what excites me about, bass and Hobie. And I think we're finally, as a community, kind of getting to that, pinnacle, so to speak, of being able to create those platforms for, the hardworking anglers that have been around in the kayak fishing world for many years. And you're starting to see a lot of repetition of these guys that are constantly winning. But, I think it's the creation of all these platforms on the national level, such as, Bass, Hobie, and all that are creating that platform and saying, hey, here's a Russ Snyder, just I could go on, and I don't mean to leave anybody out, but there's multiple people out there that are consistent in what they're doing and their finishes in these national tournaments. So it's almost like an evolution that we're seeing, kind of unfolding right now with that opportunity to finally give them that platform to show out. That's kind of the way I look at it. Show their abilities against some of the best in the country. So
you've got those. That's another thing too that I think that you're going to see with that platform. These guys that are really good. That they don't have it. I don't know a lot of them. I've met some of them. Nice guys, and that's their job. Is catching bass out of a kayak. And they get to do it every day, and bass being involved is going to give them that platform to be able to make a living doing it. And Hobie also, obviously, but and KBF for that matter. But to have another platform for them, the biggest platform in fishing,
right?
It's a proven fact. No matter if you like it or not, they are the biggest and the best at it. They were the first at it, and they'll always be the best at it. So it is what it is. Those guys are, I'd fish every one of them if I'd fish every tournament there was.
Right. And Jamie, that's one of the uniquenesses that I see in bass. When you name off all of the national trails, they're all great trails. I enjoy watching the Hobie. I enjoy what KBF has done, but the uniqueness that bass brings to all of this is, honestly, it's the grassroots. It's starting from the state level and allowing those opportunities to jump into a very competitive world if this is where you're wanting to go. But the cost associated with it's not there like if you're trying to chase a national trail. If you jump onto your state nation, it's giving you that opportunity to go against what hopefully will culminate eventually in each state as the best of the best for that state. So you kind of have that first level. I almost call it like semi-pro type, scenario where, you're kind of getting your feet wet with the Bass Nation on the on the state side. And then as you progress with your, with your fishing, then it makes sense to start chasing all those nationals, or, however you want to chase it. But from a financial standpoint, the opportunities that bass are going to allow the anglers on the state level, is pretty good. It allows you to stay home, stay local, and get involved in a very competitive world. And, that's what excites me about the Bass Nations and watching those things form.
Yeah. I would say that, if with the kayak clubs that are in Georgia, that those guys that get up every day and go to work and they bust their tail every day, that's what this is designed for. To be able to compete and fish against the best guys in the state of Georgia or the state of Tennessee or Alabama or, whatever state it is, that's having that for them to go fish is, if you like to compete, I want to see the best guys in the state of Georgia that know how to, paddle, pedal, or run a torpedo,
right?
Compete.
Right.
I'd love to see, 100 kayaks or 200 kayaks, whatever that number is. I keep trying to figure out how many hardcore not professional, but semi-pro kayakers there are in the state of Georgia. And, I think that'd be some numbers that we need to really try to get to, get all those guys involved.
Absolutely. And the number, it's difficult right now in our current state. We've got so many great local grassroots clubs that, they work their tails off and host some great events throughout the months. But, I think right now the difficulty in trying to figure out the total number of competitive anglers that we have here in Georgia is difficult, just because we're kind of all over the place, and that some people look at that as a bad thing, and for me, I look at it as the growth of our sport. The more clubs we have, then the more we feel like there's opportunity in the different areas that these clubs are forming. So it's not always that bad, in my opinion, but it would be nice to see some sort of culmination in the state and just be able to capture and produce some numbers. And talking to marketing directors and people on that side of the business, that's what they want to see. And as a tournament director, I want to be able to provide my anglers the best opportunities that's possible. And I know that thought and heartfelt way of thinking runs across the board with the tournament directors in the state of Georgia. They all work very hard to produce what they're producing. And if you look at Peach State, real crazy. I mean, look at some of their partners. I mean, those are really solid partnerships that they're building. And, that work, that took some work from those tournament directors and those board members to put on the table for those anglers. So, I'd like to see, the success or, some of those sponsorships come a little easier to some of the tournament directors. But, in my opinion, my 2 cents here is that, the numbers are what's going to allow the tournament directors to achieve that. So
one thing we got, sorry, go ahead, Jen.
No, go ahead.
This will be a little long-winded, but I want to tie in something I learned from Jamie, and he actually said to you and I both recently. I'll come to that in just a quick second. But like you were mentioning, our grassroots, like we have in Georgia and Tennessee, I think it's inherently very vital that we protect those, and in a lot of sense, leave them alone. Those are there so that every local area has representation the way that they want representation. So let that continue to grow, build our Bass Nation the way we're doing, and then have it there for them to come up to as they feel comfortable through rewards, whatever it takes, things like that. But with the nation side, there are state dues in some states, and I know, us kayakers are always, that's $3 extra. What's it for? That kind of thing. But I think by people with integrity and trust, such as yourself and like, Jimmy and some other people in the surrounding areas are taking over these leadership roles, more and more anglers after year one will see, it's, 15 to join, 30 for the nation, and then however much a state dues, hey, here it is. Because what we're building, they will come to, and then it will be their own, just like Real Crazy is their own, and TVKA is their own. So it's frustrating, but there's also one thing I learned from Jamie early on, and I always remind myself of this almost daily, really do, is I can't see the entire picture, but I can see a little of it, and then in my mind put it all together, So stay focused on that bigger picture, and when you're explaining it to someone, you've got to paint it for them as well,
Right.
Some people take more color, some do better black and white, and that's what I didn't do a good job of in the beginning when we were setting up the Bass Nation, was because it was all new to me. And now through the help of a lot of conversations, I've figured out, what to do with it. So we can do everything you said, but the main point of it all was I had 3 conversations today with pretty large entities about state level stuff. And every one of them were like, well, who do we talk to at Bassmaster and this and that and the other? And finally, I just told one gentleman, we're very respectful with each other, but I just said, hey, look, I'll give you that contact and you go after that contact, number 1. Go for it. That's what you should do because it's Bassmaster on the national level. But that costs a lot of dollars and that's a lot of commitment. And if that doesn't happen, then call back and we'll go over the state level stuff. So just let it die there, because it kind of pissed me off a little bit, but I understood because this man runs a successful thing and he wants to go for the top thing. But before the conversation was over, I circled back around because believe it or not, I control my emotions, and I explained to him what we have in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia, and explained to him the numbers of anglers that we have, because I don't have hard proof exactly like you were talking about, but I know who fishes what clubs and about how many anglers through the KBF thing, remembering those numbers from 3 years ago and everything. And I explained all of that to him and showed him, just as we do an angler, when we're building this, we have to explain this to the sponsors as well. And Jamie knows that better than anybody because he's working hard to pull them all in for us. So I did that with this gentleman today and showed him where, yes, the national level is what you want. But if that doesn't happen, because it's only going to happen for one company, that's just the way it is. It's the Hook, Bassmaster, Bass Nation thing. Whoever that title sponsor is, there's only going to be one. So if that doesn't happen, because they don't know us, they're just going to go on by the wayside and not even think about it. But I said, you come back to us because I'll show you where the Southeast is the mecca of bass fishing. Everybody knows. And I'll say it's an even nicer building for kayak fishermen than it is for glass boats because of the numbers. I said, we have so many waters, so even though you don't have the national entity of it, if you will focus on our Southeast programs and work there with capital and product, you'll see that these anglers are going to go to every store in their hometown and buy something of yours. And you can quantify that, and he understood. He said, I hadn't thought of it that way. I know fishing. I don't know boat fishing. I don't know kayak fishing. I know numbers. But now he has that perspective, and he went on. We talked for 30 more minutes, and I think he'll come around as long as he doesn't have the dollars to get the golden egg, I guess, or whatever. But we have to do a good job as anglers showing other tournament directors how to get those sponsors,
Right.
and don't give your contacts away because those are sensitive. If I screw one of yours up, then I screwed it up for you, maybe. But our community as a whole does that, and like Jamie said, there's a future for that for kayak anglers to have the platform and to be promoted, and that's something we'll work on is having these entities promote us as we do well, just like we promote their good products.
It's kind of interesting that kind of on both on what you both said about going back to the numbers. You have to have a number for somewhere to start on whether it be 11 guys or 300 or however many, to start somewhere to know what to build off of. And I think that's pretty important, whether, maybe that's something that Bass needs to, if the Kayak Bass Nation for each state, if they have those numbers and hopefully to grow, because you have to grow, if not, you recede. I mean, it's just the way it is. In anything you do, in business wise, if you're not growing, you're receding some way. And I learned that from my Sunday school teacher, 20 years ago. And he, but that being said, maybe that's something that Bass that, maybe that's something that they're there for, the Bass Nation, Freddie, that's your job to keep up with the numbers.
Oh yes, I'm slowly but surely
everybody call in. If you're a competitive bass kayak fisherman, call Freddie in the morning.
Right. I'm slowly but surely, Steve, Jamie, and David just realize that the magnitude of what this position entails. But there's some great people in the state of Georgia. Some great tournament directors that I've talked to, and really bounce a lot of things off of them. And, that's one thing that I have been very fortunate in is, the ability to just pick up the phone or shoot them a text and, get some good feedback for what they feel, they want to see or what their anglers want to see. Steve, you hit on it very, greatly, was the way that the grassroots are set up. And especially here in Georgia, if you look at the regions that each club is set up, it services a specific area. And I'm 100% in agreement with you that to disturb that would be, I think, catastrophic to the community of Georgia because it's very centralized to that region. Everything, the the tournament director, the shop that's sponsoring, that club, everything is very localized to that area. So it's very good to see. And, I enjoy watching, the support from both sides, from the club and the sponsors and partnerships that they've created for that area. You've got East Central over in Augusta, where, Classic Cities and Athens. You've got North Georgia kayak anglers just north of Athens in the Gainesville area. You've got Peach State. That Peach State is just that. They've kind of covered everyone. John has worked very hard in creating events all over the state of Georgia. Then you've got Real Crazy up in Northwest Georgia, and they travel just as far, into different states. So everything is very unique to their area, and I think that's something that you're right. Doesn't need to go away because of the convenience of what they're providing their anglers. So I look at Bass Nation, and I always try to emphasize that, we're not trying to take away any of that. All we're doing is trying to create another opportunity, because there's a ton of anglers, I think, that don't necessarily care to step up and go to that next level. And that's fine. I think they enjoy their local tournaments and the camaraderie that they build there. And that's, at the end of the day, hey, they're happy. But there are those that want that opportunity to possibly do this for a living someday. And, that's what they're trying to build. And I think Bass Nation, starting from, the state level, going on to the national, will provide that, as well as Hobie and KBF. So,
I think you and I figured this out together. It's imperative that we keep the two separate, grassroots and our Bass Nation that we build. Because, people have always asked myself and Ryan and our club, because we have a really good club that we're proud of. And they say, well, how do you do that? How do you build that? How do you build that? And you can, it's organic. You just has to happen naturally. My biggest fear is, I never really had much self-confidence in my ability to do much, and I still don't. I struggle with it, but my fear of failing someone else is what drives me. And my biggest goal as a new tournament director, and everybody thinks, hey, you got it figured out. You get to do all these cool things and all that. We still don't. You see that. We're figuring this out every week on the nation side. So it's ever changing. And it's important to remember that with a new club or any club is if you start sagging a little, like for me, it was always, what can I do to get 80 anglers? What can I do to get 60 anglers, 50 anglers at TVKA? And in doing that, that's easy to do. You can have 4 clubs do a partner event. You got 90 anglers, but it's not yours. We scaled back. We've always done a partnership with Real Crazy here on Chick or Gunnersville since we all were in existence 5-6 years ago. And we do 1 or 2 more a year, and we have a great time. Us in Tennessee, we're always in communication together. We all travel together for national events, and then we get to fish local together with other clubs from around the area. But it just wasn't the same as having just a TVKA event, where you're competing against 25 or 30 dudes that know, and for AOY or for that tournament. So I learned a lesson there of scaling that back, and we started having, an even better time, because then it was like, when we did get to do that partner group, it was us against them, in a good way. And that's what I want with the Bass Nation. Kind of like what Jamie said, you want everybody in the state. So like we all do travel. We travel for the Hobies, the Bassmasters, the KBFs. There's 7 or 8 people that'll group up and travel, and that's fun, But I want the state level to be where, I want to whoop Adam Reiser and Russ Snyder's or somebody, but I want to try. But you want that little bit of junk talk, because you're not going to be traveling together to fish Del Hollow because you're going to drive there. So you're not buddying up in a room sharing what you've been working on all week. You're going to keep secrets all week long or month long, and then you're going to show up and just, slug it, and that's what I want with the Bass Nation. Got to figure out how to do it and be inclusive of the brand new angler too, but we'll get it right. But that's what I want with that. So communication is key with it all. And just the giving heart, don't keep secrets that work for you. Early on, I had directors that I reached out to that acted like a contact from Joe Blow's Custom Crankbaits was like the right hand of God. He would not give me a contact to hopefully get some product for our club for tournaments. And that always stuck with me, because I don't care who it is. When they call, I'll call my contact and have them get in touch with them if that's what they want, because that means a lot to new and young directors, is getting prizes for everyone. And that's the interesting concept that Jamie put into our Dugout Tri-State Series, was giving,
Right. Well, Jamie definitely did the same for our Georgia Bass Nation, and for that we're definitely grateful and looking forward to providing that to our anglers at the state championship. So, and it's funny, you hit on it, Steve. I've gotten caught trying to get everything ready to go for our state championship, and it was the number. The number kept getting stuck in my head, and I had an opportunity to head out to the dugout when Jamie and I were talking about him coming on to Bass Nation, and we had a very good conversation. And one of the takeaways for me was to settle and kind of get off the numbers. And Jamie brought up some good points of being able to, let's focus on creating a great event for people. If they don't have the opportunity to make this one, let's show them that Georgia Bass Nation is here to create a great event. And from that, a huge weight just came off of me. I'm like, you know what? That is correct. 100% correct. For those that are going to attend, I think they'll be greatly, appreciative of what, the dugout and all the sponsors have put together for it. And it's for them, and hopefully they see the worth in wanting to help build the nation, because at the end of the day, the result goes back to them, and that's what I think all of the sponsors and the dugout included want to give back to the community. So, I look forward to our first state championship, and it's not so much about how many people are going to be there, but yes, would I love a big number? Absolutely. I think any tournament director would, but at the end of the day, it's about doing what we, set off to do, and that's create a great event for anglers willing to join the Bass Nation. So look forward to
it. Steve, you said something, you started talking about it, and I don't want to necessarily change directions, because I'm actually really enjoying just listening to the conversation that we're having right now. But you mentioned the Tri-State Series. If I used the right title there, if I didn't, please correct me. But if you would, go ahead and jump into that and give us some information about that. This new tournament series is coming up, I believe, starting this weekend. So if you would, fill us in on that information.
Yeah, I'll give you just the 1, 2, 3s of the event and the parameter, and then if you don't care, I'll just let Jamie take over and explain the concept behind it and the where it came from. So it's the Dugout Bait and Tackle Tri-State Series. It'll be an October monthly tournament, a November monthly tournament, and a December monthly tournament, all on Tourney X. It actually starts September the 26th, October does. That way, the people traveling to fish the Hobie on Coosa can get their pre-fishing fish counted for them. The eligible waters are Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, public waters, public ramp, public access. We want people traveling from out of state, from out of the tri-state area. If you're from Ohio and you're traveling down to fish either the Hobie Coosa, the KBF National Championship, then there's going to be the Hobie TOC, the Bassmaster Bass Nation on Lake Chickamauga. Local anglers, you've got, the Hobie TOC shootout. I forgot about that on Friday in Knoxville. So anyone traveling for that, all of that pre-fishing time can get you, weekly prizes within each month of the tournament. So each, it's a 3-month series made up of 14 weeks. And just for instance, in October, on Sunday of week 1 at 9 p.m. Eastern time, I'll export the results. The leader for that week will get a $100 gift card from Branson Tractors. Second place will get a $50 Visa gift card from Branson Tractors. Third place will get a $25 gift card from Branson Tractors. All these are Visa cards. You can spend them wherever you like. It's not something where you have to go somewhere to spend it. And we'll also, based on your rankings, I'll enter the numbers in a random generator, and I'll highlight those in a quick video. And you'll be getting prizes from Dakota Lithium, a weekly battery, probably, Seagar, Shimano, G. Loomis, St. Croix, Megabass products, Spro, Picasso, anything you can think of. Just about, Jamie and I have reached out and gotten product for it. Also, during that drawing, the first place of the week, that first place leader for that week will qualify for a championship to be held in January. At the end of the month, the top 5 in the standings overall will go to that same championship. Well, that total is 29 anglers. So for October, November, and December, the overall big bass will make the 30th place. Well, that championship is going to be a randomly drawn lake somewhere. We're compiling a list that anglers are sending us of hidden gem type lakes. And those 30 anglers will fish in a championship with no entry fee, where first place is a PA 12 with kick up fins from dugout, Hobie Pro Angler 12. Second place will be $1,000 from Carl Black Chevrolet in Kennesaw and Nashville. There's weekly oil change prizes from them. I mean, these people have just put in thousands of dollars in this tournament. It's just blew my mind. So those 30 anglers get to fish for that. There'll be prizes from third on down to a certain number as well once we see what overall haul we get from our sponsors. So, I mean, for $25 entry fee in a month, you could easily, rack up thousands in a month because, if you're the leader for the week and you're the leader for the second week, that spot will drop down to the next non-qualified angler. So second place would get the championship spot. So, I mean, it's 30 anglers. It's designed to make it as elite within that monthly structure that we're having. And just, so that, you only have 30 anglers fighting for a lot of really good prizes and product. And that's the way the tournament was designed and set up, was to just give,
Right. Wow. That's a lot of prizes. Especially you got another Hobie kicking in there. And I'd like to congratulate the winner of Real Crazy's Hobie that was passed out this past weekend. That was pretty amazing. I'm still at a loss for words with it because it's pretty amazing to be able to give back to the anglers in that way. Steve, one question: so to register for the tournament, that's Tourney X, correct?
Yes.
And what's the cutoff for the 26th?
It should be the 26th. It should be, yes.
Okay. And are all of these? Are you able to sign up for? Like if I wanted to go in and sign up for all 3 months right away, is that something that's possible, or are you guys going to drop them for each month?
You can. I'll build the next 2. I just did the one until we got everyone that's going to be involved in month 1. That way, because you replicate the tournament, so you don't have to type everything out again. So as quick as we get all that lined out and decide, because here's one thing I do expect, and I may change the 26th deadline, is when people start traveling and seeing that we've got this, then we're going to get phone calls. I already have phone calls from 4 other states that asked if they could be part of the tri-state area, and I was like, no, we set it up for Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. We love everybody that travels in, but at its premise, we want our local anglers like Jamie come up when we were building this, that I want to focus on the people who have shown up and blown the doors off the dugout. So,
sounds good. And again, just to repeat it, this is a $25 per month buy-in for opportunities for all these prizes. That's great. I look forward to definitely being involved and keeping an eye on that as that progresses. I think that's going to make for a pretty unique tournament, especially the championship. So, good deal. Well, so Jamie, had a couple more questions for you real quick. So in regards to your shop, you obviously are baiting, you got bait and tackle. You carry all types of equipment for kayak fishing. Is there anything in particular you want to talk about as far as, maybe some things or some items that kind of stand out to you that you'd like people to know that you offer there at your shop?
I wouldn't say nothing. I would just encourage anybody that has never been to our shop just to come visit. They don't have to buy anything. We just like to see new faces. When we sell everything from the highest of high-end casting rods to bait casters to a cricket. I mean, when it comes right down to it, we love to sell it all.
There's your answer, David. David
I
was
asked that
just asking
question
me
today.
Does
We
he sell
sell- we
crickets?
sell-
I'm like, I
We
don't
sell
know.
crickets, we sell redworms, we sell nightcrawlers, waxworms, mealworms, pinkworms, jumpers, small, medium, large shiners. I mean, you name it. We sell all that and a lot of it. So it's and we sell a lot of high end fishing tackle too. It's kind of unique, but
Right.
it's what we got, and we love to do it.
Good deal.
Uh,
Well,
but let me say one thing and to touch base on what you were talking about as far as the Bass Nation series and the Tri-State series, that to let anglers know that the prizes that are given away, the manufacturers that have given these prizes away are investing in kayak fishing. And, whether it be, for instance, Seagar came on today. Seagar is going to be a big player in the kayak market for the guys that, and because they want to see kayakers use their fishing line. And I didn't seek them out. They called. So, they saw what we were doing and they were like, hey, we want to be on that. So to have the numbers when people, whether it be the Bass Nation series or whatever, the Tri-State series or whatever it is, when these manufacturers start seeing more numbers come in, you're going to see a lot more, involvement. And, excuse me, with the more attendees you have, the more manufacturers get involved to grow the sport. Obviously, if you got 10 guys there that are competing to win, they're not going to be as involved if you got 100. So the more people you have involved, the more prizes that are going to be given away. And, I think it's anybody that, for the Bass Nation series, I think anybody that gets in on the ground floor of this thing, I mean, it gives me goosebumps thinking about what can happen. Because I've seen what's happened in high school fishing. And they all have the same, everybody that's fishing has the same passion. Whether it be a 15-year-old boy or a girl or a 25 to 40-year-old man, whatever. And it can be very interesting what happens. And, like Steve said earlier, the Southeast is, every fishing tackle manufacturer in the world knows what the Southeast holds. I mean, 'cause it is the mecca of bass fishing, thanks to Ray Scott. I mean, he started it, I mean, he's the man when it comes right down to it. So all that being said, we're each state, Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama, and South Carolina, and Texas, and all those states. They can show some big numbers, and hopefully, at the end of the day, 2 years from now, everybody's like, what, how are we going to manage all these people now? That's a good problem to have,
Right.
So, regardless of what other people think,
Right.
That's a great problem to have.
It is. Well, Jamie, you just reminded me of something. So Steve had kind of gone into it before. He told us a little bit about his end, but what kind of prompted you to want to start the Tri-State?
It was just to give back. Because we've been very blessed this year. It's the best year that anybody in the outdoor industry, not just the dugout, has had. And, we've had people, I wouldn't say that everything we've sold, I'd probably say even a third of the kayaks and fishing tackle that we've sold has been in Georgia. The rest of it has been Alabama and Tennessee. And, it wouldn't be fair to have a Georgia kayak series and not include Alabama and Tennessee. And I mean, you gotta when you have people driving from Huntsville, Coleman, Nashville, Knoxville, some from Cincinnati, Ohio. We didn't get Ohio in there, but it's and it's just the way it all went. I think that's the right way to do it, and it gets everybody involved. And like Steve-O said, when I started talking about with him, that's when he started saying about talking about all these other tournaments that we have coming in the South or in Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee. They can fish them all and still give, and we're going to give a lot of stuff away. I mean, it's going to get real fast. And we're still looking for sponsors that want to pitch in and help. I mean, we're going to have and we can still do a lot of things with as far as promoting them weekly. That's what Teddy Bear over there is for. He can handle that. He's going to promote them, but and I think in the first couple of weeks people are going to really say, I need to be in that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go fishing, and in October, November, December, there's a chance there. I mean, you're going to catch some big ones anyway. It's a lot better in September and October. Let's face it. So, you need to be, if you're going fishing, you need to be in this deal. So whether it be on a whatever day a week or whatever it is,
Right. Excuse me. Gosh. Well, David, did you have anything else?
Sorry, I muted my speaker because where I've got relegated to tonight, I'm right by the air conditioner, and when it turned on, I was like, everybody's gonna be able to hear that, so I had to mute my speaker there for a minute.
Gotcha.
It's kind of unrelated a little bit, but I do want to ask Jamie this question, and we've, you said you've kayak fished a lot, in the past and stuff, but now, being in the position that you're in as the owner of Dugout Bait and Tackle, and now diving into this kayak thing, you've kind of mentioned it a little bit, but give me Jamie Koza's view of kayak fishing in the next 5 years. Where do you see? Yeah, like I said, you've kind of mentioned it a little bit, but kind of talk specifically about where you see this in the next couple of years up to, say, 5 years from now.
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to have competition to drive it, and I mean the competition as far as the contestant competitors, it's there. I think it's going to be a lot on bass. It's going to be a lot on Hobie. It's going to be a lot on KBF. Any of these bigger organizations, it's who's gonna chip in, because once one chips in, and if the other one wants to compete, they're gonna have to do the same. I mean, it's just either or, nobody's gonna fish it. I mean, because let's face it, if you pay $200 or $100, whatever the money is that you pay for an entry fee, and when you win, whether it's a kayak fisherman or whatever fisherman it is, if those guys aren't getting what they feel the return is for the investment, because they paddled their butt off or pedaled or whatever all day long, and they're wore out and they're tired, and I think that they want to win. They want to win something, and I don't blame them. I'm one of them too. I mean, it stinks to go fish a tournament and win and only win $500. I mean, you want to win. I mean, you worked your butt off, and that's what you're the best that day, and you want to win some money. So to answer your question, in 5 years, I think that you could possibly see, more. I think there's definitely going to be more people doing it, without a shadow of a doubt there. I think that it depends a lot on the kayak manufacturers themselves. I think that's got a lot to do with it. And whether, motors, no motors, I think that's going to play a big role. I think there's still a lot of people that would try kayak fishing, but they don't want to paddle. And they don't want to pedal. They want to use their trolling motor. And I think the more that evolves, I think that you're going to see things speed up really fast. And you're still going to have your guys that paddle, and I think that's great. I mean, look at Drew Gregory. I mean, he won this weekend. That it's not going to be the guy with the trolling motor is going to win, because whether you can either catch him or you can't. Whether you got a trolling motor, pedal, or whatever, a stick of wood to push you along. But I think it would help boost with trolling motors. And this is coming from a guy that sells Hobie. So it's still what it is what it is. I mean, we'll put a trolling motor on a PA-14 tomorrow for you if you want to buy
it. Hey, will you install land or boondocks on somebody for somebody?
So, I mean, but I encourage. I mean, I've got a lot of manufacturers, a lot of sales managers that work for tackle, large tackle manufacturers, and they're like, "Man, what's going on with this kayak stuff?" And they're asking me, and I'm just a retailer, but they're like, we want to get involved, and they don't know who to contact. So I think shame on some of these, kayak manufacturers, it's a pretty easy. Let's face it, at the end of the day, the fishing industry is a pretty small deal, but it generates a lot of income, and a lot of people love to do it because they've been doing it. Jesus was a fisherman. They've been doing it a long time. So, I guess in fact, to go back to your original question, where I see it in 5 years, it's hard to say. It's going to be good though. It's going to be good because the right people are in it, and as long as you got the right people in it, it's going to be really good. There's a lot of I will say this, what I've learned in the last year and a half is most people that are in the kayak industry are very good people. And that's everybody that's, at the end of the day, that's, they all want the same thing. So I think it's, is when they all get together, it's going to be even better. So.
Well, let me ask you one more question based off something you said there real quick. I would really like to talk to you more in depth about, as a shop owner, what you're saying about the manufacturers, because I've got a lot of thoughts on that myself, and this is probably not the place to talk about that. But one of the things that has come up quite a bit is bringing in more of the glass boat guys. Do you think trolling motors is something that would make it easier for some of the glass boat guys to get more involved?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. But, and two, I don't know about you, David. This is kind of touching on what I think you're about, was thinking about what you're going to say. But, I think we got to understand with these kayak manufacturers that how much of their business is actually fishing versus paddling and, I don't know, whitewater rafting. I think when you have a manufacturer that's, let's just say 90% of their business is fishing, that's the guy you want to be partnered with at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Being with a whitewater, nothing wrong with being with a whitewater company that manufactures kayaks or anything like that. But I mean, they're spread out into a lot of different deals. And, you know, a fishing guy, I can tell you this, and I don't mean to offend anybody here, but a guy that's getting out of a glass boat, going into a kayak, he doesn't care about whitewater rafting. I mean, he doesn't. You know, he wants a fishing kayak. And he wants the manufacturer that makes, you know, the best fishing kayak. And no matter whatever brand it is, whether it be Jackson, Native, Hobie, Diablo, I mean, any of them, that's, you know, they've all got their place, but that's, you know, he can care less about a whitewater raft. He probably thinks they're crazy. But,
I know I'd fall in line with that.
yeah, but, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's,
Sure.
there's some of the manufacturers need to kind of step it up a little bit, because they've got the help around them. I mean, there's when there's companies out there that are solely making a living making aftermarket products for kayaks, and a manufacturer hadn't taken advantage of that, you know, that kind of shows you where their head is, you know, to put on their own kayak. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, absolutely.
They're not solely invested is what I'm saying.
Right. Or seeing the opportunity. You know, I think that's where some of the manufacturers kind of miss the mark and seeing the opportunity.
That's the part that blows my mind. I have a hard time. I mean, especially in the kayak community, because they're all, you know, they want new things. They want to buy new things. They want to see new things. And as it evolves, and the manufacturers, they can't keep up with the evolution of it.
Right. Now, Steven brought up
that the evolution of the pro staffer. That pro staffer has to use their voice to tell that manufacturer exactly what Jack said. And we did the same with Native. They listened in a lot of areas. Some, you know, with everything, you know, some won't listen. But, you know, like he said, when you're literally making something and making a lot of money on it to fix or upgrade something that should come standard, then that's there. Real quick on Dave's question about in 5 years, in my opinion, as Jamie said, that is manufacturer driven in a lot of areas. But for me, the key component is the angler. Are you going to step out of your comfort zone and fish these large trails? Because as Jamie said, if 11 show up, they're not coming back. You know, you hear in a lot of regions, we want this, we want this, we want this. And in Pennsylvania, it literally just happened in 3 weeks. Everybody complains the Northwest doesn't get many tournaments, and they don't. Then Hobie puts on one on a whim's notice for a remake, and they get almost 120 anglers in 3 weeks. So that kind of stuff really drives it. To touch on a little more, the community has to get behind the leaders who are trying to build these things for them as well. You know, a lot of people say, well, all this entity wants is a dues payment, the dues payment. Forget this entity. So say, here's ABC Kayak Fishing. Here's the director of it. Who are you working with? You're working with that person that you know. Freddie, Steve, Jimmy, you know, anybody else. That's the person you're entrusting with your dues or your entry fees. Trust the process that they're building, because you don't know every single detail. Like literally tonight, us talking about our Tri-State series, Jamie just somehow transitioned it to what we're doing with this series is actually showing suppliers like Seagar and others that we're here, and they're going to see what we're doing by them partnering with us. And you know, that happened organically. We didn't plan that, but now people are going to call and say, hey, what can we do here? You know, so we'll keep that up, but, you know, trust the people, you know, that are trying to help it with you. And that's where the angler just has to make a small sacrifice and step in and support the events. You know, me with national events, I had no idea how to fish a 2-day tournament. Was not a good enough fisherman to fish them, but I knew we have to show up. We need to get it out of the 30s into the hundreds. And I did. And now look, we've got 3 or 4 successful trails across the country. So, and anglers will do that. But the key part is get the new angler to come with you. You know, say, you know, hey, I'm going to get my butt whooped too, but let's go to, you know, Lake X together. You know, it's going to be a cool trip. Let's take 4 days off and go. And that kind of stuff is what keeps you coming back, because it just feels good. It does. So I got included some of the elite anglers, knowing I was bummed, you know, couldn't fish worth crap. And now I do okay, you know, but they did. They took me in and they were like, come on, man, you know, this is about us, not about fishing. It's just about us hanging out together. And that's the cool part about it. So, you know, Jamie, I don't know how you did it, but I appreciate it. You know, we're going to be able to make an imprint on some of these manufacturers with doing this, hopefully. So,
Right. You know, Steve, that's a part of the investment, I think, that we have to kind of communicate to the anglers that are, you know, becoming members of Bass, or, you know, or participating in a Hobie or KBF, is that, you know, with that growth comes greater opportunity, you know, and the opportunities you know, it's multiplied. I mean, you've got opportunity to gather bigger and better sponsors, you know, the opportunity to up the payouts and things like that. So there's a lot of things, and I think you nailed on too, where, yeah, almost all of us, I think everybody from tournament directors to anglers, you know, need to kind of see the big picture. But I think, you know, that's where I fail as a leader too, where I need to, you know, one of the things I'm looking at doing is how do I communicate that? How do I see the vision that I'm seeing right now with Bass and everything happening in our community with Hobie, everybody? And how do I communicate that to other anglers so they see that advantage or that opportunity that's just sitting there waiting for them? All they have to do is, you know, be a part of and believe in. You know, I think we need to become a community that kind of believes until you can't believe anymore. You know, I think we're too quick to judge and too quick to put down an opportunity, not give it not give it a fair chance. So, but I think, what's that?
It's going to happen. Don't worry. It's
right.
Don't. It'll happen organically.
Right.
We're learning how to set the narrative, just like, you know, there's a negative narrative to some things. We're learning how to set, you know, the positive narrative, and we will.
Sure.
I would encourage, you know, anybody that likes to fish a club, don't knock it till you try it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can't
Agree.
Ever tried it, you know, you can't really knock it. And in my opinion, I don't know how you really can, but, you know, it's the state championship that's coming up. I mean, you know, those that aren't there are going to wish they would have been. So that's kind of where I'll leave it at that. But, you know, and next year I think that, you know, I think the scheduling is, you know, is from what I saw was pretty darn good. I mean, you know, for you guys and in the Bass Nation.
Sure. So. Well, we look forward to it. You know, again, it's another opportunity, and, you know, hopefully people will enjoy the events and, you know, want to become members, because that's, you know, that with that growth comes, you know, better opportunity, and that's definitely something we're looking forward to. So, really, you know, from the state championship standpoint, another thing that we're looking forward to is being able to take it to the next level and sending those, you know, those chosen few, that qualify out to, you know, out for an opportunity to fish in Texas. I mean, you're going to a great stage and a great atmosphere. You know, I'm like Steve last year at the Classic. I was in awe just walking around and, you know, kind of watching everybody, you know, do their business. You know, they're there in the expo area, and it was exciting to see all of the manufacturers and be able to touch and you know, touch product and talk to salesmen was just, you know, it's phenomenal, and to be all under one roof and to see our kayak community represented as well. You know, that was just, it was eye-opening and definitely something to look forward to for the future of kayak fishing. So we'll look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it. My wife will be with me this year, hopefully, so she'll get to walk around and be bored out of her skull, but get to see what we do and why we're fanatics about it, and sit out there and stink all day and sweat and fight bugs and
You can
stuff
send her to
like
the
that.
pool. Send
Yeah,
her to the
yeah.
pool.
Hey, you bring Ansley and I'll be
Yeah,
A-okay.
you just let her go to the spa. Just working advice on that one.
Yeah, she just yelled in from the other room. A-okay with that.
I give her an hour and a half.
But no,
I give her an hour and a half. She won't even make it all the way around.
Yeah.
well, just the opportunity to talk to a bunch of product sponsors I'm looking forward to. Michelle was with me last year. She did a lot of work for the high school and talking to some people and some manufacturers. So I'm sure she'll be heavy on it again this year. So we're looking forward to it. But well, guys, I don't want to keep any more of your time. I appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight and talking. What I feel is some very important stuff, and I have some key information. Hopefully that our viewers can take home and kind of chew on, and want to be a part of what is being built out there. Because I think Steve, yourself, Jamie, David, everybody that supports what we're doing here in the state of Georgia, and our neighboring states of Tennessee and Alabama. It's great things to look forward to and exciting times. I think that's the huge positive when things get hard and things seem really dim. I look at what the opportunities are there for everybody, and I'm excited for everyone. And again, thank you guys for y'all's part in that and creating that and supporting that. Without you guys, we can't make this thing move. So.
Yeah, appreciate your time and getting us on here and getting to do this. And thank you, David. And, again, we're all, as a community, in leadership positions, we're making a concerted effort to make certain that we all understand we're in this together. Just kind of resetting going into 2021. If there's anything we can do for you, David, let us know. And I'm sure you reciprocate the help. And we're going to do the same with our trail series. We've got a really good staff together at Dugout, and it's going to grow hopefully in the near future some more. And we want you to fish everything. We support that, and we'll promote you, and through that, you'll be rewarded for it. And under the umbrella of it all, kayaking will just flourish. Period. So we thank all of you for giving us time to come out and talk about it today.
Well, we're glad to have you guys. And, as Freddie said, we really appreciate you taking the time to do it. I just enjoyed, I'll tell both of you guys and, Freddie too, but I just enjoyed being able to participate. I mean, the information tonight and the conversation was just, I really enjoyed it. And to talk about all that's coming up and the Tri-State Series you guys are doing, the state championship in Georgia, and I'll throw this into the high school state championship we have coming up, and the 16th of August, Freddie, or 19th? What's the date?
17th of October.
17th of October. I was close. 17th of October. We'll have the first ever Georgia high school kayak state champion in Georgia. And that's exciting. And to hear all this information coming out of the industry that I'm involved with, to see where it's going and the direction it's going, it's tremendously exciting to me. And so I just appreciate you two guys, and thank y'all for being on the show and speaking your mind and letting everybody know what's coming up. And so again, thank y'all very much for being here and being a part of the show.
All right, guys, we hope you really enjoyed that interview with Steve and Jamie. I know me and Freddie both enjoyed it when we did it. Great information there. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Jamie, for being with us. We really appreciate it. And Freddie, you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I would just like to thank Steve and Jamie as well personally. Steve and I, we've been talking for quite a bit of time now, especially since my interaction with Georgia Bass Nation and kind of the development into my role there currently. Steve, I definitely couldn't have done a lot of these things without your guidance and a lot of your input on some good suggestions on how to get things started. And Jamie, I'm looking forward to working with you on the Bass Nation as well. And growing our state and getting things getting things to where we hope to get them here in the next few years. So again, thank you guys both for coming on the show, and we look forward to having you guys on again soon.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate appreciate you guys listening to us. As we've said many times on this, we're still learning, we're still growing, and we're looking forward to bringing you guys the best information we possibly can. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.